The River Bride. In the time before roads cut the valley like wounds, there was a river called Caddis Water. It ran clear and cold from the mountain's throat, and every spring, when the snowmelt swelled its banks, a spirit rose from the deepest pool. She was called the River Bride. No one remembered her true name. Some said she had been a woman drowned on her wedding day, long ago. Others said she was older than rain, a daughter of the first spring. What everyone knew was this: each year, when the dogwood bloomed, the bride would choose a partner from the village. That person would live beside the river for one turn of the seasons, keeping the water clean, the fish plentiful, and the banks unbroken. In autumn, the bride would release them, rich in gratitude and strange quiet wisdom. No harm had ever come to one of her chosen. But the year the mill came, things changed. The miller, a man named Brent, had no patience for old tales. He dammed a branch of the Caddis Water to turn his wheel, and the river slowed, grew warm, grew sick. The fish thinned, the reeds yellowed. The village elders went to Brent and said, "The bride will not choose this year. You have made her angry." Brent laughed. "Let her choose me," he said. "I'll show her what a man's strength can do." That night, the dogwoods exploded into white, and the bride rose. She was not beautiful in the way of paintings. She was beautiful in the way of deep water, dark, patient, and full of hidden weight. Her hair ran down her shoulders like currents, and her gown was not fabric, but the shimmer of light on a fast riffle. When she walked through the village, the ground softened beneath her feet, and wild mint sprang up in her footsteps. She stopped before the miller's door. Brent came out, arms crossed. "You're the one they fear?" "I am the one who keeps the river alive," the bride said. Her voice was the sound of stones turning underwater. "You have choked my throat with wood and iron. For this, I will not simply take a partner. I will take a bridegroom, for always." The village gasped. No one had ever been kept beyond autumn. Brent, fool that he was, said, "And what does a bridegroom do?" "You will walk the river with me," she said. "You will learn every stone, every eddy, every spawning bed. You will hold back the mud and plant the willow. You will love the water as I love it, or you will drown trying." "And if I refuse?" The bride smiled, and for a moment, the river behind her turned the color of rust. "Then the Caddis Water will forget its name. It will become a ditch. Your mill will stand dry, and your children's children will curse your bones, for a land of dust." Brent looked at his mill, his fine iron wheel, his growing ledger of coins. He looked at the bride, whose eyes held the whole history of the valley's floods and droughts. He said, "I'll take the bargain, but I'll break you before autumn. I'll damn your spirit like I damned your river." The bride said nothing. She took his hand. Her skin was cold as snowmelt, and when she pulled him toward the water, Brent felt his boots fill with a chill that went straight to his marrow. For 7 days the bride walked Brent along the banks. She showed him the crayfish turning stones, the kingfisher's nest in the clay bluff, the deep hole where the old trout lived. But Brent saw only how to use these things. "That gravel bar could be mined," he said. "That bend could be straightened. That old cottonwood, firewood." On the 8th day the bride took him to the source, a spring no bigger than a basin, hidden in a cave of moss and ferns. The water there was so clear, it seemed to float above the rock. "This is my heart," she said. "Drink." Brent dipped his hand. The water was sweet, but when he swallowed, he saw a vision. The river as it had been 1,000 years ago. Salmon so thick, you could walk on their backs. Otters playing in moonlight. A girl with flowers in her hair, kneeling at the spring's edge, singing. The girl looked up and saw him. Her face was the bride's face, but younger, alive. "You were human," he whispered. "Once," the bride said. "I gave myself to the spring to save it from a drought. The water took my body, but kept my promise. Now I am the river. And you are the first man who has tried to own what cannot be owned." Brent pulled his hand away. The vision vanished. "This is madness," he spat. "Water is for turning wheels. The valley is for profit. You're not a spirit. You're a story to scare children." The bride's face did not change, but the spring behind her began to shudder. A crack ran through the moss. "Then let me show you the cost of unbelief," she said. That night the river rose. Not a flood, something worse. A slow, silent swelling. Water crept into the miller's yard, then his house, then his dreams. Brent woke to find the Caddis Water lapping at his chin. He stumbled outside. The village was untouched. Only his land lay underwater. You see? The bride sat on his roof peak, her gown dripping. The river gives, the river takes, you cannot have one without the other. Brent raged. He tore down his own dam. He dredged the channel. He threw rocks at the kingfisher. But every morning the water had shifted again. Deeper here, shallower there. Always just where he did not want it. Spring turned to summer. Summer to autumn. The village watched the miller grow thin and strange. He began to talk to the reeds. He slept on the gravel bar. His hands, once soft with ledgers, became calloused from planting willow stakes. One evening in late September, when the maples bled red into the river, Brent sat on the bank and wept. I don't know how to love it, he said. I only know how to use it. The bride rose from the water beside him. For the first time, she looked tired. That is the difference between a miller and a river keeper, she said. But you have planted the willows. You have not dammed a single tributary in 12 weeks. You have learned the kingfisher's name. I learned his name because he stole my lunch, Brent muttered. But he was smiling. A little. The bride touched his shoulder. Her hand was not cold anymore. It was the temperature of autumn rain. Sad, but not cruel. The bargain ends at dawn, she said. You may go home. You may tear out the willows. You may sell the gravel. I will not stop you. Brent looked at the river. His river now, though he would never say that aloud. The light was leaving it, turning the water to dark glass. Somewhere a heron called. What happens if I stay? He asked. The bride was silent for a long time. Then she said, no one has ever asked. Dawn came. Brent did not go home. He took off his boots and waded into the deepest pool. The village found his clothes folded on a stone, his mill key laid on top like an offering. No one saw Brent again. But the next spring, when the dogwoods bloomed, a man-shaped figure walked the river at dusk. His hands were rough with willow bark. His eyes held the color of deep water. And when children threw stones at the heron, a voice that sounded like the miller's, but gentler, wetter, older, said, Leave him be. He was here before your grandfather's grandfather. The river bride still rises each spring, but she no longer seeks a partner. She walks the banks alone, trailing her hand in the current, and sometimes, if you listen close, you can hear her talking to a shadow that walks beside her, a man who finally learned that a river cannot be owned, only wed. And that is why, to this day, the old ones say, do not build your mill across a lover's heart.